So I promised you guys I would nap this one. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see, to start out with, I think that I'll use my hammer, which again is not really the best technique, but to get it started I'm going to use the hammer. Well, let's see. To get it started, I'm going to try the aluminum on this area right there. Let's see if I can get a better lighting on this. Okay. See what we got here. It's already got a patina on it. That's not the color of the stone. Let's see what the color of the stone actually is. So it's an amoeba chert. That's a nice flake for a potential arrow point. So looks like it's going to be concretey in the middle. I bet. I'll bet that it's concrete in the middle with a nice skin on it. If I run into a hard spot, I'll use the hammer, but let's see if I can use the aluminum for now. This is aluminum. Okay, let's see. Is there a way to attack these things that is, you know, standard operating procedure, or SOP as they call it in the military? The only standard operating procedure is to make sure it doesn't break. Yeah. It's the only thing I can think of. Try to preserve as much as possible. It'd be nice if I can take this lump off first. Kind of looks like a foot. Yeah. So work on the heel, take that off, and drive a flake to do that. To skin off this lump. I can hit here, anywhere along here, and scoop out a flake so that I can go that way. I can try that. It's just a direct assault there. If I'd use the steel, the potential for radial fractures is higher than if I were to use the aluminum. Why is that? Because the steel does not yield. And what that means is, as I hit, the stone wants to expand away from the steel in all directions very intently, right? There's no yield here. With this, it wants to expand away from the aluminum all directions, but this has got a softer consistency, so it doesn't push as hard. It doesn't radiate the force out as hard as the steel does. You lose some energy. Okay, now I can make it radiate out in all directions by hitting harder with the aluminum. But I'm not going to. I'm going to try to hit, you know, so it doesn't shatter in this direction or in that direction. I'll try to scoop out something here. So let's see what I can do. It's glancing blows, glancing. Yeah, it's not going to grip enough to create a crack, it looks like. I don't want to hit it harder than that. I might be able to get in there with this angle here. Yeah. That one made a difference because the angle is a little bit better. It's not as steep as this angle. Yeah, looks like good quality stuff. So now I can hit in this direction, but you might be saying, well, I just lost the potential to capture this whole side as a projectile point or a knife or something. Yep, I did, but how else was I going to attempt to remove this lump? I need to get at it somehow. This angle is not good right now, but I can improve it. I can brush it like this. I can remove some more flakes while brushing. So it's hitting inward as well as downward. If it's just downward, that's the brushing concept. If I hit into it, I'm also driving some short flakes. Now it's not ideal, but I can hit that. A very, very hard strike. Hit it twice. The first time I hit it, it probably drove the first initial crack, and then I hit it again to continue it. It's probably what happened, but I don't really have an idea of, or I don't have a firm grasp on what it actually does. But I have a feeling that the first hit caused an incipient crack, and the second hit caused the crack to propagate further. Incipient just means partial. Alright, so I skinned off quite a bit of that. The interior might not be too bad, but still time to find some concrete. I could be right about the concrete. Now, is there a difference between knapping with a flat compared to knapping with a round? Yep, there's a difference. It's called, I have two terms for it, for the difference, or to differentiate the techniques. If I'm knapping with the flat, I'm swiping. Some call it scraping, right? Some might call it a glancing blow. But I call it swiping, right? If it's round, like this is round, if you hit, it's not really a swipe, it's a gouge. I call it a gouge. In the Flintknapping community, I don't think that that's a term that's used, the gouging, but that's what I call it to differentiate it from the swiping. It's two different methods. If you're using a gouging technique to imitate what I do, you're not going to have the same results that I have. Okay? It's going to produce a different bulb of percussion. The swiping produces a flatter bulb. The gouging produces a substantially more rounded bulb, or a scoop out. They both can produce the same flake, but it's easier to produce a scooped out flake or a larger bulb with the steel and with the round than it is with the aluminum and the flat. The aluminum using the flat softens the blow so that you don't get such a large bulb of percussion. Okay? I'm going to use Flintknapping terms that you might have to look up if you're brand new, like the bulb of percussion, but there's also a bulb of pressure. Flintknapping produces bulbs which are initiated with a conchoidal type fracture, but the conchoidal fracture only goes in so far. The rest of the fracture is just the force, the wave force that goes through the stone. It's not a conchoidal or a cone-shaped fracture. You'll notice that the contours are not always cone-shaped. Like here, this is cone-shaped here in the initial part of the fracture, but then it starts to curve that other way. That's not a cone, and then it curves the other way. You can see there's various contours, which means it's a wave. After the conchoidal fracture, there's a wave fracture. And sometimes the waves have lots of ripples in it, sometimes they don't. What causes the ripples? Usually chatter on on the connection between the two objects during the strike. If there's chatter, like if there's a vibration going on, it'll cause waves in the, or ripples in the shock wave of the fracture. So this is a good area. I've been messing with it, just kind of brushing along. I deposited some aluminum on that. You can see where I was brushing. Why do I do that? It's just a habit, right? It also kind of gives me an idea of how much it's gripping. And I am going to remove a flake to try to remove this mass here. Okay. I am supporting my wrist this time on my knee, just because I'm getting tired of holding it like this. I'm already feeling that this is not going to be too comfortable. Discomfort is distracting. Okay? All right, here we go. So I hit there, shattered some of that platform. Yep, not bad, but not really that good. So as I get used to this material, I can probably hit a little bit better on the next one. But which side do I do now? That side or that side? That's where the conscious decision making comes in. To make that decision, I need a conscious decision to do it. Neither one is all that great as far as what I need to do. I can't say that they're equal in the types of flakes and the advantageous nature of each one. They're different. But right now I could hit either one. So what decides? Well, my brain decides, right? But where is the decision made? Is it made in the subconscious or the conscious mind? This is where we get into some philosophy. Because we don't know, right? I think it's conscious. Something has to make that decision. My hand can't move it. Gravity doesn't make that decision. The wind outside blowing around doesn't make that decision. The decision is made in the brain by an arbiter, a conscious arbiter in the brain makes the decision. That's what I think. Okay? There is a choice there. And if you say, once I hit, I had to hit there because of determinism, you're totally ignoring the fact that there is a choice. You're saying there is no choice after I hit it, but there can't be a choice and no choice at the same time. There either is a choice or there isn't. If you say there isn't a choice, that means you're saying there's no choice between the two. There is a choice here. So there cannot be a choice and no choice at the same time. Okay? And the reason why I mention all that is because the whole process is choices, conscious choices. I am using the subconscious as far as the muscle memory goes and the repetition and the memory that the subconscious has as far as how much force to strike with and that kind of thing. But to decide which one is a conscious decision. And you'll notice that throughout the entire process. And my conscious decision will be different from yours. In the same exact situation, if you were to make that decision, you would probably make, well, there's a 50-50 chance that you'd make a different one. All right. So very hard hit to remove that. It's kind of a shallow flake. Concrete is starting to rear its ugly head. I thought I was gonna skin off more than that. So I took off the mess that was right there, which makes it a little bit better as far as the platform goes. I'm trimming it back a little bit more to make it more rounded or something, kind of. I don't want it to be sticking out right there because I don't want to lose energy If I hit the lower area with the striker and it crushes and then hits where I want to hit, I lose power, which means I have to overcompensate to start with. And I don't want to use so much, I don't want to use a whole lot of energy in the beginning. The thing is to try to use a lot of energy, but not more than you need. So you try to minimize the amount of energy you need without being too conservative, you know? Gotta learn that little balancing act there. Okay, here we go. Very hard hit. This is how thick I was thinking the other flakes were going to come off. But they didn't, so I hit harder, and then I got a good flake. Now if you notice, let's study this for a minute. I hit here, but yet it looks like the hit would have been here. I hit there, but it looks like the hit would have been there, because it would make sense for the force to distribute this way to create that bite, but it didn't. It initiated right here. The force went in that way a little bit, so it's not going to be. See, if I grind that off or remove the metal, you would think that I would hit right there. Just by looking at this. Now, looking at the bulb where the bulb initiates, you can go, yeah, I guess that's where it initiated right there. So pay attention to how that goes. It does influence the thinking process. You can blow away some of the edge that you don't think would be blown away by some of these hits. You might think that you would conserve that area there by hitting here. You would think maybe the crack would go this way, like that, not up like that. So just be aware that it's unpredictable. Very sharp edge. Okay. And I can use, so far, I can use all of these for the future, for projects in the future. So don't worry. It is only rock, but it is special rock. I do admit it's special rock, so I can't be wasting it. Now, when I reduce some of these bifaces, I use the la-la-la technique, or the levallois technique. I say la-la-la because no one knows how to pronounce it. Okay? But in this case, I'm not going to use the la-la-la technique. All right? I'm just going to be trying to skin off these lumps. It's a little bit different. Instead of zigzagging it, I'm going to try to attack the lumps like most people do. Why? I don't know. I'm just in that kind of mood, I suppose. Right? Maybe I'm allowing the mood to take over. If I were to think about it and make a conscious decision, or a rational decision, I should say. The mood decision is conscious, but it's not rational. If I were to reason it out, I would look around and judge where the next really good flake would be, according to where the biggest problem is. Attack the biggest problems first. The whole thing is a big problem, so it's a little bit difficult to decide. Right? Yeah. All right, so I can spend some time trying to figure it out. So I figured out that I can probably build this, not build, but remove some material here. Just strike there. It's not looking so good. It's looking kind of cruddy because that material is breaking up. I need to have a platform to strike this way. I do have a kind of a platform to strike that way. There's various areas that I can strike on here. But thin down the ends first is one of the considerations, so let's see if I can thin down the end first. And remove that because I didn't like it. Was it emotion that took that off? No. I didn't like it because I can't hit on that mess. So I've got to hit on a more solid area. So that's why I took that off. Now in the perfect world, I would abrade it. Yep, and I think I am going to abrade it. In a perfect world, I might even try to measure that angle. But I'm so used to it now that I don't have to measure it. As a new guy, you might consider measuring that. This is convex here, which is good. Sometimes I say concave by accident. Don't worry about it. I mean, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to go back in videos and correct it. But just be aware, sometimes I'll say concave instead of convex, or vice versa. So yeah, it's convex below the platform, so that's good. This platform angle is pretty good. The way I see the platform angle is compared to this top edge, not to the bottom, or not anywhere near the bottom. It's the top edge, or the top surface. This angle here is in relation to the top surface. And if I get a little bit technical, maybe it's in relation to the center line. In relation to the center line, that's relevant too. This angle is relevant to both the surface and the center line. Down here, I'm not worried about how it compares down here. It compares, I use this angle, or I measure, or I determine, or I remove material to construct this angle according to the surface and or the center line. And I think if I draw a line this way and go that way, it's between 45 and 60. I can't remember exactly. I think I measured it once and it was almost 70 on sometimes when I strike. It's not 90 to the center line or to the surface. It's somewhere between 45 and 70, something like that. Okay? Here we go. This is going to be hopefully a large flake, and I'm going to hit hard. Notice how I'm holding this. I'm backing it up to my knuckle. My knuckles felt pretty bad for a while with this technique at first. The 4-inch length here is good. If I had a handle on it, I could do the same thing. I could back it up with the palm of my hand if there's a handle. So you can use a handle and hold it that way, or you can back it up this way. If it's short enough, like 4 inches, this, I think it's 3 3/4 now. If you back it up, it'll be a lot better. Instead of swinging it. That's why I mentioned that. You can swing with the flat too. Okay, you can swing and not back it up with your hand. Okay. How long is this now? Everyone asks me. This is 3 5/8. It was 3 3/4 about, I don't know, a few weeks ago. So it's been worn down pretty fast. Yeah, since the napping, I've been napping some bigger nodules than usual. Okay, here we go. I can use this for a future point. Maybe that one. Definitely this one. I would try to nap those without heat treating first. But if they don't nap that well, I'll heat them for the small arrow points. For the larger points, like at little dart points, raw stone is easy enough to nap for the larger points. But when you get down to the small points, it's difficult to use raw stone, especially for the notching. Heat treating really makes a difference when you do the notching. You'll see if you haven't already. you'll find that notching is really, really difficult on the tough stone. Alright, so I'm just going to continue, not with the la-la-la technique, but with the skinning flake technique and the lump attacking technique. We're back to this area again. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. Yep, there's stuff that's coming off, and it's. I guess I'm just going to scrape away anything that feels weak. All right. Oops. I hit too far out. Dang it. I'm going to hit that again right there. Yeah. See. I was hoping maybe it would go, but it was too weak. I didn't hit that right. So I took off the mass that I needed to help peel that off. And you might say, oh, story of my life. That's what I do. I hit wrong every time, and I'm not able to have platforms strong enough to knock those problem areas off, right? You might say, that's the story of my life. Yeah. I remember having a hard time with this. It's harder when you try to explain it. Yep. Yeah, it's much harder. I'm not hitting this well. I'm not hitting this well tonight. Let's see. Nope. Nope. It did remove a good skinning flake, but it's still not good enough. I might have to zigzag it now. It was my little strategy of trying to do long, thin skinning flakes is not working that well. It might have some internal issues. This material may be too shattery. Not sure exactly what the situation is. There is inconsistencies, right? This is easier to knap than interior. And some of the interior is going to be even more difficult as we go, I think. So, looking around, I don't see any other really good opportunities other than to try to zigzag now. Oh well. Yeah, I was very careful because I don't want to be... that's interesting. I don't want to be hitting too high up because then I remove too much. I don't want to remove too much of this. There is a slight strategy, but the conditions, the initial conditions, the platforms are all kind of cruddy right now. I could improve them a little bit, but like in the previous video, I'm just going to be expedient. And yeah, I can improve these areas of striking, but I'm not going to be spending too much time with it. I'm getting kind of hesitant to hit it hard because it's looking like if I hit it really, really hard, sometimes it shatters. Right? It doesn't do what I want it to do. It's really easy to flake, but it's not really easy to produce long flakes. And you can say, that's the story of my life again. It flakes, but not longly. Yeah, I know. Just gotta try to tweak it. Gotta try to tweak the strikes. I'm still working on that little area. Still working on it. Still working on it. Still working on it. Still can't get to it, but at least I'm making some progress. I should be able to maintain this part, at least some of it, for the final biface. But I'm still working on that area. Could I use a different tool to get in there? Yeah, I probably could, but again, I'm expedient. All right, let's see. That was kind of... I did want to hit that. I did want to. I isolated that a little bit. Let's see if that helps. I did want to isolate it, so let's see if that helps. Okay. I think that did help. Okay. Yeah, I think it did. I'm getting a lot of good flakes, so don't worry. If I don't get a biface out of this, at least I have a lot of usable flakes. And I've said it, and as I've said in a different video, if I stop here and examine it, it looks like I'm trying to make a hand axe, where you would hold it here and chop with this. Yeah, it looks like I'm trying to make one. No, I'm not trying to make a hand axe. I'm just trying to reduce it down into a biface, starting at one end. Now, technically, I should be thinning the ends, but most of my time has been spent working on that one initial big lumpy area. Now I finally got it. Finally, after a lot of attempts and maybe some mistakes. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Just taking off some flakes to see if that crack goes anywhere. It looks like it does not. Looks like it's not deep. It's just a shallow little crack. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to abrade it just so it's not sharp, because I don't want to be brushing up against it and getting cut. And of course, I'm going to have to braid it anyway eventually. I don't have to do it now, but I'm doing it now because I don't want to get cut. And I want to see if there's any other issues that may rear its ugly head, or rear their ugly heads. There's an incipient crack. See that incipient crack? It goes, let's see. I need a pointer. There's a crack right there. That goes around right there. I don't know if I installed that or if it's part of the original stone. I probably installed it. But there's a little bit of concrete right there. Yeah, I probably installed it. But it's not my fault because the concrete's there. I'm going to blame it on the concrete being there, because it stopped me from fully removing the flake. I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, there's some undetached flakes in other areas. And there's, if you want to examine the rocks that you're knapping and just pour over it and think about it and meditate on it, that's perfectly okay. Perfectly fine. You can meditate on these and think about them and think about them and think about them and then take action after careful consideration and all that. That's fine. I prefer to be a little more expedient. There may be a better area, but I don't care. I don't care too much. A little bit. All right. Yep, that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to travel too far. I just wanted to get in there so I can start doing the zigzaggy thing. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do the marathon thing again and see it. No matter how long it takes for me to get down to a biface, that's how long it's going to take. The new phone, the new camera, working good. The only thing I can't do, it was suggested to me, is combine the audio or something to make it a mono instead of stereo audio. I can't, I looked and I didn't see a setting for it on the camera. So you'll have to deal with me being over here, talking on this side, or me over here talking on this side and messing with your headphones. Yep. Too bad. Till I can figure it out, you're just going to have to suffer. Yeah. There's a lot of things I don't care about. Yeah. Not only am I expedient with the Flintknapping, I'm expedient with the recording of the video. It's low tech also. Maybe I'll put a plant back here, maybe some other things to make a nice scenery. Right? No, I don't think so. Okay, let's see. There's not enough green in the background, right? No green. Where's all the green? I'm living in an area right now. I'm staying in an area that has lots of green, and there's no green in the video. It's all just blah. Oh well. Now this is kind of dicey. A lot of times I wear two gloves for this, and I think I'm going to put this glove on just because that edge is starting to look rather menacing, and I don't want to take it back too far. In the process of striking, I have clipped the tip of my finger on these edges and regretted it. Alright, see, I'm getting pretty close because I'm going to hit in this way, kind of following that ridge. Yeah, I hit right there. You can see where I deposited the metal right there. This one did follow a pretty good I don't know, pattern. You know, I hit in the middle, or what appears to be the middle of that ring. Yep. There's a lip on it. Some people make a big deal of that lip. Where's the lip? You might say, where is the lip? I don't understand what lip means. Yeah. You might say, I don't understand what this lip thing is. The lip is the edge of the platform right there. When there is a pronounced lip, sticks out a lot, they say that's soft hammer. Can you see? Let me see if I can get a dark background on that. If there's a pronounced lip, they say it's soft hammer. When their archaeologists are looking at this and going, ooh, it's a human-made flake with a lip. That means antler or soft hammer. Yeah, I guess you could consider aluminum soft hammer. So, I mean, they're not wrong. In many cases, they're not wrong, but in many cases, they are wrong. I know some guys are looking at the archaeology and the reports and the papers, the technical studies and all that, and they're saying in the studies that soft hammer was used, so they want to use soft hammer to reproduce these artifacts, when, you know, it's not always soft hammer. It could be a really hard hammer. Yeah, this is harder than antler. Probably not as hard as hammerstone, right? But you can produce lips on flakes with hammerstones too. Okay, so just because the study says it was made with soft hammer, don't believe it. Okay, because they're going by the lips. They're looking at the lips of the flakes. You can produce lipped flakes with all kinds of materials. Not only soft materials for your tools, but hard materials as well. Is it more common? Is it statistically more common to see a lip from soft hammer? That I don't know. Because it also depends on the flint napper in the way that he prepares the edges. I say he, okay? Mostly it's men that are doing this type of thing in the past. But there is probably a lot of artifacts made by women, so. Anyway, he prepared the edge in such a way that with the hard hammerstone was able to produce lips on the flakes. Not that he was wanting to do that, but he somehow found a way to peel the flakes off, because that's what a lip means. You're peeling instead of smashing it. The more you smash it, the less lip you'll see on the flake. Like on a bulb of percussion, if it's just a straight bulb, with no lip. It's usually because it's a hard hammer smashing into it. And I can't give you a good example right now. Anyway, I am kind of zigzagging it, as you can see. Zip, zip. What next? I'm not used to this. I can just keep going and keep going. I don't have to look at the clock. The only thing I have to concern myself with is being able to explain it. And this type of video, I don't want it to be taken as something as a standard. I don't want this type of video to become the standard type of video that I make, because there's so many variations to different techniques. Not everyone's going to do it this way. And not everyone should be doing it this way. There could be ways that are better. There could be ways that are a little more interesting, faster, or slower. You know? Change it up a little bit. You don't have to do it this way. Alright, here we go. I'm going to try to run a flake there, because I just think it's, you know, opportunistic. That looks pretty good. If I measure this angle according to the center line or the surface is kind of steep right there, so, you know, in relation to that surface over there and the center line, this angle is between 45 and 60, probably. Okay, so I say probably. It's improper, like in the last video. It's not going to be that great. I learned from hitting the sides that I could crush the platform and not get a good flake, because this is crackly material right here near the cortex. But I'm still going to do it. It's not proper because I'm going to hit on the crackly stuff that I've already learned will be crackly. So it may not produce a long flake because it shatters a lot, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it produced, kind of a nice one. Yeah. Why do I say nice? It's flat. Yeah. Flat flakes are more useful, in my opinion, than curved flakes. That's just my opinion. Somebody might be correct in saying they're better because of blah, blah, blah. All right. I'm not going to argue that. This is nice. Yeah. All right. I like it. I like flakes too. I'm not completely taken in by bifaces only. I like flakes. I like using flakes. All right, so we're getting to the point where I need to be concerned about length of flakes. We're getting to that stage where the length of the flake is vital. Here, I need to make sure I pay attention to how long this flake is and not make it too long. I don't want to overshoot this because this looks like a really good area for it to accidentally remove too much. So, concerned not only with producing a long flake, but concerned with not producing a flake that's really long. Okay, so I got to tweak it. And it's not crackly stuff here, so it should be pretty predictable. But it's not proper because it looks like I'm going to be hitting in this area instead of this area. In the proper scheme of things, I would be hitting that area, but it looks like as I'm rubbing it, I'm depositing metal here, so it's probably going to hit there. But that's okay. There's enough material here, hopefully, to carry that flake. Some might say, it's not ethical or rational to do it that way. You've got to prepare it so it's perfect. Yeah. Well, look up the word expedient. Although I should flatten this out. Right? Let's turn on the grinder back here. And for those of you that don't know what I'm using for a grinder, here it is. Okay? This thing. Harbor Freight. My favorite store. Yeah, I know they're imported imported goods from overseas, and it's not American made in many cases. Yeah, I know. Still my favorite store. All right, Harbor Freight, get one of those. It's less than 80 bucks, right? I don't know, now the prices are shooting up. It's ridiculous. All right, so I quickly flatten that so it glances better. It doesn't grip as much. I like the glancing blow and not the grippy blow, okay? So let's see how that works. First strike, I didn't strike in hard enough, so I hit it again. And I can tell that I created some incipient cracks the first time, but I didn't care. But the result of me not caring left a bunch of shatter right there. Yeah, and an undetached flake here. So, yeah, I can live with it at this stage of the game. Yeah, that's a nice flake. I like it. And, yeah, just helped it along a little bit. But look, see, this is kind of nasty. In a perfect world, I would remove a flake much more neatly than that. If I was more careful, I could also shape this to where I put a chamfer on it to make the striking area a little bit smaller. I could do that too, if I was perfect. Believe it or not, I'm not perfect. Yeah. Here we go. I know, I know. It's hard to believe. Here we go, ready? I'm going to remove some off of the bottom there. I've got a vision now of where the center line should be. Yes, I do. Starting to develop. Starting to develop. And you might be saying to yourself, I cannot get it to develop. Mine is all wonky. Every time I hit something, it's like there's no center line anywhere. Yeah, well, focus, focus, focus. Hocus pocus focus. Yeah, it's magic. You'll find it'll become magic, or you'll work magic when you focus. That's why I say hocus pocus focus. All right. That took off more than I thought, but I like it. I mean, I like these flakes. Now, whether it's good for the biface, I don't know. I don't want to take too much off. Yeah. Why? Because I want options, you know, in case I make a mistake somewhere else, I want to have material left to increase my options. You know, I do kind of want it almondish. Is that a word? I do want it to look kind of like an almond, but a big version. My most powerful strikes are yet to come. I'm going to have to do an extremely powerful strike to remove the turtle back here. That's coming. I did hit quite hard in some of these strikes to remove the first initial turtle back. But this, to get this thin, massive hard strikes are coming, all right? Most likely. Why do I do it that way instead of just peeling little by little by little by little? Peeling little by little. Because I lose too much of the edge. It's just, maybe it's just me, but I lose a lot of the edge. And I end up with a little briquette. Right? That's why I use massive strikes, massive flakes to remove lots of mass. Mass, mass, mass. Right? Just remember it that way, perhaps. You might say to yourself, well, I don't know where I should be hitting with the kind of force I need. I can never figure that out, and I've been napping for 5 years. I always have to try to peel little by little by little by little. Yeah, you're going to have to become a little bit more aggressive. If you want to develop my technique or adopt my technique, you're going to have to be more aggressive, right? Some of you might say, yeah. Okay. Some of you might say, oh, gosh, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right because this stuff is so brittle. How can you be so aggressive with something so brittle? It just seems counterintuitive. It doesn't match my thought experiment. What about obsidian? Obsidian, obsidian, obsidian. Well, it's relative. It's proportional. With obsidian, you don't need to strike nearly as hard, but your hardest strikes are going to be these strikes that remove a lot of mass. You get the same thing with obsidian. When you try to whittle it down little by little, peeling little by little, you're going to end up with a little thing like this, except, you know, flaked all the way around. And it's going to look like a charcoal briquette. Unless you become more aggressive. I don't think there's any way around it. You're just going to have to become more aggressive to remove large flakes, to remove these turtlebacks in these big problem areas. Okay, this is a problem area here. I still don't know how I'm going to attack it. It's staring at me. It's been staring at me the whole time, you know. It's creepy. Yeah. But I'm not going to deal with it yet. Okay? Maybe, I don't know, maybe I will. I do need to thin down this end a little bit. Let's see. Get rid of that. Yeah. Maybe get rid of this. Let's see. Now I can shoot across here. Yeah, I like this platform. I'm saving it. I'm kind of waiting. This, I can remove something with that platform here, and then I can remove more with this platform up here. So, and I still have this one left. After I remove this one, I still have that one. I can remove more. I think that's my plan, and then I could probably strike from this area if I need to. Although it's not ideal, but you know me, I don't care about having it be ideal. I'll just see what happens. But I'll prepare a little bit right now just to see. Yeah, I think that's a viable option. But yeah, I'm going to hit there. Okay, here we go. Very, very hard. And it's a nice flake, but it's not really what I was thinking. I was hoping for more of a removal there. Yeah, I hit on a crackly area. That's probably why I didn't really take off as much as I wanted. Yep. All right. I thought that flake was going to be thicker, but I don't want it too thick because you know what happens when it goes too far? Overshoot. And if you know me, you know that I don't like overshots because they are mistakes, in my view. You can live with mistakes, like if there's a step fracture or something in here, it's a mistake, like right there, that's a mistake, but I can live with it. Same with overshots. You can make the mistake, you can live with it if it doesn't interfere. But as this gets more and more biface-like, or more and more like a preform, you don't want those mistakes. You don't want those mistakes toward the end. Toward the finishing stages. This is the preliminary stage. Still in a preliminary stage, although I am trying to get these thinning flakes. See that? I don't know where that came from, but it looks like it originated here. And then this one. These are all thinning flakes. Right? Some of them are skinning. It's hard to tell the difference on some of these. This one is a thinning and a skimming. Skinning and thinning. This last one. And this one will be a skinning and a thinning. Skinning means you're capturing what's under the cortex intentionally. Thinning is, you know what that is. Okay. A lot of archaeological texts and some of the Flintknapping books, they don't even go into skinning these nodules. So some people might say, what? What? Skinning? Skinning? That's for processing animals, not processing rocks. No, it's for processing rocks too. Yeah. These are, pretend this is buckskin over here, even though that's the color of the stone too. Little play on words there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to hit this. It's not ideal. Should I make it more ideal? Yeah, but every time I hit that, I run the risk of actually messing up the platform. That's another thing. You can try developing these platforms and become so engrossed and OCD about these that you ruin the edge trying to make a good platform. You gotta watch out. If I were to take too much off and then round that over too much and it wouldn't stick out like it should, I would mess it up. But that was okay. This is a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about it. It's a little bit lower, a little bit stronger. I think it'll work to take off some of this mass here. In a big strike. This is going to be a big strike. That's a lot of mass. See that? It's a big bump. I can hit into there and hopefully get it. All right? That was very hard. I was kind of anticipating a disaster there. That's either make or break type of hit. It's a very hard hit. All right? That's the same level of intensity as in the beginning when I was trying to remove that big old hump. Okay? So yes, even during this stage, you are going to be hitting it really hard. And yes, I was worried that it might break the whole thing. And you will break the whole thing doing this technique when you're new. So you should be working on small nodules with this technique first, so you don't cry that you ruined all your big stuff. Save the big stuff, work the little stuff, and then gradually, as you increase experience, work on big stuff. I would say, if I was to start over again and tell myself what to do, I would say, save all the big stuff, nap it so you know what's in there, break it open so you can see, but save it and then nap the little spalls you take off of it. Go back sometimes, maybe knock off another spall and nap the spall. Nap the spall and save the big pieces for later. I would say if it's more than 3 inches long, wait half a year or so before you tackle it. If it's more than 4 inches, wait a whole year or more before you tackle it. If you're new, if it's a huge gigantic piece, like a big old foot-long piece, I would wait 2 years, 3 years to tackle that. Okay, it's not unreasonable to ask that. Now, if you just can't help yourself, you want to see what it's like, yeah, tackle the big old foot-long gigantic nodules and make some gravel. You're going to need to get that out of your system anyway. Yeah, okay, but don't do that too much, because you'll be asking randos like me on YouTube what to do. Yeah. What do? I don't got no big stuff no more. Where is it? I don't got it. You got some? You got some? You itching? Got some? Got some big stuff? Nope, sorry. Nope. And if I did, I probably wouldn't tell you. Because I got stuff I need to do too. All right? Here we go. It's okay. I would have liked it to go further. Yeah, but you can always get what you like. As long as I'm progressing in the thinning department, it's okay. I don't have to make too much of a fuss about these. As long as I'm getting these flakes to travel more than halfway. Some of you are going, well, that's my problem. I can't get these to do that. Try the swiping technique. You can gouge them out too. Like if you look at Edbo 23, that channel, he uses all gouging, and he does an extremely good job on these bifaces. He's not using the swiping technique. Look at that one. Look at Edbo 23. He was a very big influence on my technique in the beginning. Okay, probably more than most other nappers, and he didn't even realize it, right? Or he doesn't realize it. But yeah. what am I going to do here? Yeah, the guys that use natural tools on YouTube, they messed me up when I was beginning because they're using advanced techniques. Yeah. Most of those guys spend years napping before they put up a YouTube channel and start making videos. They're using advanced techniques. Can I elaborate? What's an advanced technique? Certain special platforms. I don't know. They develop platforms that are special, quote unquote special, according to their own formulas. And I've never had success in developing specialized platforms. I have more success with expedient work because I'm not really interested in ultra thin bifaces. You know, 6:1 width to thickness ratio is good for me, good enough. If I want to replicate something that has a 9:1 width to thickness ratio, I'll try specialized platforms and isolating and maybe some high-speed billet strikes or certain types of material like moose antler and all that kind of stuff, maybe. But then I get tired of trying to prevent breakage because a lot of times they just snap. You know, I might get it to 7:1, 8:1, and I want to do the 9:1 and snap it. When 7:1 and 6:1 is perfectly fine for the thing I'm making, as far as the, you know, width to thickness ratio. Why do I want to go even further? I think a lot of the guys back in the past made really thin ones because it was just part of the luck. You know, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe 1 out of 10 that they made was very, very thin. The other ones they made were not that thin. I guarantee you that they didn't make points of all the same thickness. Okay? All right. Yeah, I like these flakes. This is actually this is a nice amoeba chert. I was lucky to get this one. When I took it out of the pile of stuff I got from the Knapping, I was thinking, man, this is going to have nasty concrete in the middle. But you know what? I don't see a bunch of nasty concrete. Yeah, this is nice. I like it. Yeah. Beautiful. Dum dum dum. I don't know what to do now. I've got choices. Yes, I do. Don't tell me I don't. I got many choices. And if I hit somewhere, don't say I had to hit it there. It's destiny. I have lots of choices. Yep. What makes the choices? There's an arbiter in the brain that makes the choices. You want to know who you are? What is the self? Some philosophers will tell you there is no self. That arbiter that makes the decisions, that's you. That's the self. That's what life is about. It creates it creates that arbiter. It creates the ability to choose. Life creates the ability to choose. That's part of life. To deny that you have a self or to deny that you are the arbiter is to deny life. Okay? All right. Here we go. And what happened? I hit that pretty hard. The flake didn't go. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. Hit much harder this time. Yeah, a lot of incipient cracks. Yeah. A lot of incipient stuff. It didn't travel. All right, so what am I going to do? I'm reaching the limit of what I can do with the direct percussion. I can see already. Let's see, I'm just going to continue. I think you get the gist of what I'm doing. Yes, that's what I want. I want the thinning flakes. I don't want these little cruddies. I don't want to produce cruddies. The flakes coming off of here are nasty. Can't use a lot of those. I can use the long ones. Yeah, I can put them there. They can be utilized flakes. Back in the day, they would use those for, you know, everyday cutting tasks. You know, your spouse might say, it's time for a haircut. Time for the kids' haircut. We need a sharp blade. Can you produce some sharp blades for the haircuts? Yeah, it's right there. Just whatever you want. Grab some hair, cut it with stone. Yep. Works pretty good. It's a little bit ouchy, but it works. How do I know? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. Except there's a little VUG. VUG. These little concretey things. They call them VUGs, I believe. You rockhounds out there, I think you would agree. I hope I got the terminology correct. Some of these are kind of cool. You can leave them in your work pieces and in your bifaces and in the finish points. They're perfectly okay. As long as they're small. You can flake through those. If they're big, then you're in trouble. Yeah, hard strike, but it didn't go very far. That's a problem. I need these flakes to travel. Not only to show you that they can travel, but I need to thin this down without using indirect percussion. Yeah. This is a direct percussion video. I think I'm not going to make too many of these direct percussion videos unless I start showing you other types of tools. If you want to see me using natural tools to do this, go to my Allergic Hobbit channel. I use natural tools to do this kind of thing. And yes, I swipe with a billet. I do swipe with an antler billet, and it's usually a moose or something like that. Because I can develop a flat surface that will last on moose. Although I have been known to crack the moose antler. Oh yes. It's brittle. It's more brittle than, let's say, whitetail. If you're a hunter and you can get big old 1.5" diameter whitetail or thicker beams of whitetail antler, I think those make the best billets. Okay? Here we go. Rather than moose. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I hit that harder than I would normally like to. It's probably why I've only been getting short flakes up to now. That's a good length right there. Yeah. But I was starting to sweat on that one. As I missed a couple times. I said, man, I really don't want to hit that hard, but it looks like I'm going to have to get these flakes to travel. I'm on video. I'm talking smack. I gotta put my money where my mouth is. Or my mouth where my money is. One of those. Here we go. Hard hits. Very hard hits. Ooh, the VUG is getting larger. But it's not too bad. Yeah, I don't know where, it doesn't go all the way through. It's good. I'm glad. Now I'm losing a lot of width on these really hard strikes. Oh yes. I'm losing a lot of width. And I would rather be doing this with indirect percussion, but I think I can still safely thin this down with direct percussion, but I'm nearing the limits for me on what I can do. Okay, so I'm preparing the edges a little bit better at this stage, striking a little more carefully at this stage. Yeah, this is getting down to the nitty-gritty, to where every flake is important, and They have to be less and less expedient. Although a lot of them are going to be expedient, they're going to be less and less so. And I'm going to be careful that I don't let the ends get thick on me in proportion to the middle. There's got to be thin here. I can't be attacking this first before I look at it. I got to make sure the ends are thin, because I don't want a lot of mass outside here, because it'll snap in the middle. You know how it goes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, very nice. And it's a nice flake. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's good. This flakes nicely. If you don't have nice rock to work, get yourself some hornstone. Texas rock is a mixed bag. You know, if you're ordering Texas rock, you may not be getting good stuff. It's a mixed bag, okay? Order yourself some hornstone, or some Sonora, or some Burlington. I don't really recommend. I used to recommend Keokuk, but nowadays it's variable. It's not as good as it used to be. In my view, there might be some guys with a lot of good stuff. Get yourself, what did I say? Burlington, hornstone, this was an amoeba chert. If you can get amoeba chert, go for it. It's a mixed bag. Sometimes you'll have a lot of concrete, sometimes you won't. I'm lucky with this one, there's not much concrete. I'm lucky with this one. A lot of times there is a lot of concrete. But this one seems to be nice. So normally I would not be worried about hitting that, but it just doesn't look quite as good as it could look as far as the platform goes. Now, I've talked about platforms in other videos. A platform is something that archaeologists have come up with, a term that they've come up with that exists on a flake. You know, it's pretty much defined after the fact. You really don't know where the platform is. You kind of know where it might be when you're developing the edge like this. But you won't know a platform really until after you remove the flake and you go, zip, that's the platform right there on the flake. But as far as where it is on this edge before you remove the flake is anyone's guess. You can get an approximate idea of where the platform is. You can isolate it and say that is the platform, but you have a choice of hitting it in different areas, so the size of the platform will vary depending on how you hit it. And you might not even hit the right area, but you're still going to have a platform on that flake. It's just not going to be the one you envisioned. A lot of guys can't understand, or they don't understand the concept of platforms, and it's understandable why they don't understand it. It's because it's hard to define before the fact. After the fact, it's easily defined, but before the fact, it's not easily defined. Nice. Went halfway without removing too much of the edge, although there is a partial Uralier flake. Another architectural, I say architectural sometimes too, right? Another archaeological term, lithics. The lithic analysts and lithic specialists have come up with the term Uralier flake. This is a partial Uralier flake. I don't know if that's a thing for them. It's a thing for me. Let's see. What I mean is, I don't know if it's defined that way. I've read a lot of studies, but I'm not sure if it's defined that way. This little partial flake there. undetached. It's partially undetached. All right. This looks pretty good, kind of, sort of. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Good. I'm creeping up on this area by removing mass on the other side to flatten it out, to make it nice. While I'm making it nice, I'm creeping up on this. The closer I am to the turtleback, the greater the success in removing it. Now you can go all out and narrow this whole thing down in the beginning and then knock off these flakes if you want. I don't recommend it, but you can do it that way. I recommend walking it in like I've been doing. If you've knapped literally 18 tons of rock and you already know what to do with the type of rock you're using, it becomes a lot easier to just go straight into the final shape as soon as possible, instead of trying to walk it in like this. But I like to go around the outside first and then walk it in and keep as much width as possible, yada yada yada. Okay. Here we go. I don't like this. I'm gonna have to hit hard. Oh, gotta do it. I like it to be smooth so it glances. So I know it glances and not grips. Because if it grips too much, it snaps it. All right? Yeah, all right. Okay. Take a deep breath. I like it. Yeah, it seems like I made a big to-do for nothing, huh? But yeah, I'm sweating right now. I am sweating right now. But that's it. Yeah. That's it. Let's see, what is the ratio? What is the ratio? Come on. Oh, you wanted to examine it a little bit better? Is that what we want to do? Where's my last flake? Is that it? No. I lost it. Can't examine it. Anyway, I'm so excited I just kind of lost it in there. Lost that flake. Excited and have my nerves rattled a little bit right now. Because that's a make or break type of flake. That could have broken the whole thing in half. From here I would do indirect percussion. But let's look at the width to thickness ratio. Yeah, since I'm not going to do any more, I'm going to take this glove off. Alright. Alright, width to thickness ratio. This is 2 and 7/8. Let's look at the thing in millimeters, right? 70. That sounds familiar. Let's say 74 by no millimeter. 17. Let's see, 75 and 15. That'll divide evenly. That's like 5 to 1. 75 by 15 is 5 to 1. It's a preform. That's where I stop. 5 to 1, 6 to 1. But I've gone as low as 4 to 1. Can I get it to be thinner than this without losing the ratio? Can I get it to 6 to 1? Well, usually I get it to 6 to 1 with the indirect percussion. After I reduce or make a pass with indirect percussion, the final shaping passes with my indirect, I get 6 to 1 many times. Sometimes 7 to 1, sometimes 8 to 1. Depends on the size. A large piece like this I like to keep thick. For my own peace of mind, if I'm making something for somebody else, I go down to like 7 to 1 or something. But it's nerve-wracking. And I break a lot. And I have broken a lot this year trying to make pieces for people. I've broken a lot more than I normally would break. So I would consider this a preform, even though it's probably a biface for most of you guys, and not a preform because there's still a lot of work to do. Yeah, still a lot of work to do, but I wouldn't touch this with a billet anymore. It's just too risky. It takes big bites out of the edge too. See that? Even that awesome flake there took a big bite out of the edge. Although it's not too bad. It's just thin. You know, I've got to take it back. It is thin there, so I really can't use that edge on this side. This side's too thick. Let me see if I can explain this. This side's too thick to keep that edge there. I've got to take it back and remove that so that both sides are thin, not just this side. Now, can I bevel it? Yes. Can I start beveling the whole thing and make a, let's say, a Cody complex point? Yes. I can, from here on in, I can be doing nothing but beveling and just work one side only, and with occasional trimming to flatten it more. There's a lot of options. I could install a base and a stem on here and then finish the blade later. I could put 2 points on here or 2 stems and create a spoke shave. There's a lot of options. Okay, so I'm at the 1.5 hour mark, and this is where I want to stop. So yeah, good enough. Very nice material. And that's it for tonight. It's getting late. I might make another video, but I doubt it. I'm still having trouble uploading these. I find it uploads faster after I process this through my video editor, you know, and export it. Import it into the video editor and then export it back out. For some reason, it helps the format upload quicker to YouTube. So I'll be doing that. All right, that's it.